Well, the moment has arrived, folks. Yeah, thank you. My name is Paul Montague and welcome to Justice and a Fair Go for Refugees. Now, I know many people, I recognise many faces in the room, people used to what's become a yearly event of the Palm Sunday March for refugees, which gathers and begins each year from outside St George's Cathedral. So this is our adapting to COVID variation of that event. So you can understand, as soon as you have more than 500 people gathered in a public place, even outdoors, not just permissions from the City of Perth, from the Health Department, it's a whole thing. So the decision from the organising group this year was to have this happen in hubs. So thank you to the people physically gathered here with us in this space. Thank you to all the people in the hubs. Shout out to you, gathered in various places, and all the places watching also via Zoom in their own private spaces around WA and the rest of the country, I believe, Mark. I'm just going to agree with myself there. So folks, thank you so much for being here. What today we're going to hear is from the lived experience of many people, or some people who've been in detention, and refugees. We're also going to hear from Joanna Josephs, the head of CARAD. Very soon we will have a welcome to country, a very important thing to do. Before that, I just want to make a disclaimer in terms of content warning. We are going to hear some real talk today by people who've been going through, truly cruel situations. So there may be some content brought up. We're talking mental health, we're talking suicide ideation. So these subjects will come up in discussion today. So we want to acknowledge that and offer that content warning up front. But thank you very much to everyone for being here, and by which I mean online in your hubs, at home and here today. Now it's time for our welcome to country to look to Mitchell Garlett, a Noongar man and candidate for ministry in the Uniting Church. Thank you, Mitchell.
Brother Paul, thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. I want to welcome you all here today. I want to thank the organisers and those responsible for putting on this special gathering, and also for allowing me to come and to share a welcome, to share my language, a very old language that belongs to this place, to this land and the areas that surround. I want to pay my respect to my elders, all of my elders that are both past and present, and also all those that are emerging as elders. It's an honour for me. I feel privileged to know my language. It has been passed down to me from generation to generation, and I find comfort and healing in knowing that, because it connects me to my people, to this land, and most importantly, there's a very deep connection to our Creator. And in saying that, I want to say in language, Kaya mamnichi yiring nganyunga boja. Ngan maman nan nawolo yining ngan wanging murt kenyan ngan boja. Ngan maman wanging ngan yunga murt ngan baranging ngan boja. Ngan maman ngan wanging yunga murt ngan boja ngan baranging ngan kurt kenyan. Ngan daman gaman gawerin karawort kuling. Daman gaman gawerin karawort kuling ngan boja ngan karijin ngan barangin ngan karijin ngan kurt kenyan ngan kunyat mort ngan daman gaman. Ngan wajbula mort ngan yuat kul ngan kura ngan wardi ngan yuat kul ngan yunga boja. Ngan wajbula mort ngan yuat kul ngan mort kenyan ngan kunyat mort ngan yuat kul ngan kalok maya ngan boja ngan yunga mort kenyan. Ngan kurt ngan jerp ngan kurt ngan jerp ngan karijin ngan wajbalumort, ngan yungamort, ngan wabin, ngan kalapmoya, ngan barangin, ngan boyja, ngan dapokan wort kulin, ngan kadijin, ngan kura kanyan, ngan kurat jerp, ngan jerp, ngan nunakut, ngan yuart kul, ngan mort kanyan, ngan yuart kul, ngan boyja. And in English, it says that a long time ago, our Creator allowed the dark-skinned people to look after this land. And our Creator said, if you look after this place, in return, it'll look after you. And Daman Gamanga, that means our old people from yesterday and today that have held on to the link that brings us closer to our land and our belonging and who we are, who we identify as in God's eyes. And what Bulamort and you what call is that our friend came from a long way. And Kura, and Awadi, that they come from a long way across the water. And they came to this old Nyunga place. And they brought their family and they brought their children with them. And they came here and made a home amongst my people. They made a home, and in saying that, Ngan Kadijin, Ngan Wabin, Ngan Wabilumurt, is that we together with my children and your children, we work and we play on this land. And together we've got to listen. Ngan Kadijin, Ngan Dwonk, Ngan Kurat Barangin, is that we have to listen to one another on our journey, not only with our ears, but also with our hearts, for a better tomorrow for everyone. Ngan Kurat, Ngan Jurup, is that Kurat is your heart, and my heart is happy that we can gather here today. So welcome and thank you.
Thank you, Mitchell. Just in case it needs to be said, today is obviously technically complex. Managing the aspects of, we'll see, we've got to have people piping in from other places around the country. Also, there's the streaming aspect going on. So at any point, Mark up there on the tech desk, bless him, with the massive job he's doing today, but he might make panic hand signals at me, in which case I'll need to fill till the situation is resolved. So I may resort to dancing. That could happen. Just be aware. Just be aware. That said, and out of the way, I'd also like to acknowledge the many community groups who have been supporters both today and of Justice Refugees for many years. And here we're talking about refugee advocacy groups, we're talking about churches and other faith organisations, we're talking about unions and other community groups, as well as many passionate people out there in the community. And I could go on and on there. So thank you all who are either represented here today in person or online or just out there doing your thing in the community. Bless you. So to begin with today, we're going to hear from our first person with direct lived experience of everything we're talking about today, Rahula. Rahula is a Hazara refugee from Afghanistan and has been in Australia for 8 years. He's currently on a temporary safe haven enterprise visa, and he's here to tell us about the challenges of life on that visa. And I believe we've got him available to say hello. Is that right, Mark?
Hello.
Hello, Rahula. How are you?
Good, thank you. How are you?
Well, I'm well, and yeah, we're all privileged to have you here with us speaking today. Rahula, I believe we're about to play a video of a conversation you had with Jeff. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, so we'll play the video and then we'll have a quick chat afterwards. Thank you.
Hi, Rahula. Thanks for being with us today, and it's a pleasure to have you and to chat with you at today's Palm Sunday gathering. So, can you introduce yourself?
Hi, Jeff. Thank you for having me. My name is Ruhullah Hassani. I'm Hazara from Afghanistan. I've been living in Australia about 8 years. I used to live in Perth, and now I live in Canberra because of the shift. I have to move to the regional area, so I'm holding a shift as well.
Okay, so you're on a SHEV visa, which is the Safe Haven Enterprise visa, and that's one of the temporary visa types that goes for 5 years. Is that right?
Yeah, that's right.
And so, why did you have to move to Canberra for that?
Because of the condition on the visa, I have to move to regional area and work and live and work in regional area like 3.5 years to fulfill the pathway of the visa.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so so Perth isn't considered a regional area, but Canberra is?
Unfortunately, the Perth is not considered as a regional area, so I have to move in regional area, which was very difficult to find a job in regional WA. And then I just had a friends, and then I came here.
And you've been able to find work in Canberra?
Yeah, I found a job, and then I just getting like settling down in here to make life.
That's good. I know we miss you in Perth, though.
Yeah, I miss you guys as well.
And what's your hope? How long have you got left on your visa, and what's your hope at the end of that?
My visa is finishing on January 2022. I just about I think 9 months or something, left. But I don't know about the future because it's not certain. We don't have any idea what's going on like at the end of our visa, and then even you don't know about the tomorrow what's gonna happen with the visa. So we don't know about the visa. The future is so uncertain.
That makes it really hard. What do you find most difficult about being on a SHEV visa?
It's making our life is very hard. Like we are separate from our family for a long time, like 8 years, and then some people even more than 8 years, about 10 years or more. And then we don't have any hope for the future, and then even we have a restriction for traveling or visiting a family in another country, which is very difficult. Sometimes it's not safe to go in other country. Even for our family, it's not safe to travel from within Afghanistan. And then even if they go to another country, it's not safe as well for them, because our neighbor's country is not safe as well. I don't know, it's just lots of pressure and then just stress about this visa we're getting.
And so what's your situation? Do you have family that you're hoping to see?
Yeah, I have a family, and I want to see. Even every week I have to call to my mom, and then she's every week she's asking what happened to your visa, and then when we can see you? And then I said, I don't know about the, it's not clear yet.
Mm. And so what do you have to do? Do you think you will be able to get permanency to be able to see your family again?
I'm not sure with this. With this situation, it's very unlikely. It's not like we didn't get any positive positive things from the government to change anything in our visa condition. So it's very hard to guess.
Mm.
Yeah.
So, if you were able to say anything to the government, what would you say?
We will say, we as a human, we need to have a family. We need to have a future for ourselves, because we work very hard and we pay the tax, and then we don't get anything. Like we are not able to get a loan from the government to have a home, and then we cannot sponsor our family. Even it's very hard to see our family, and then we need, like, as a human, we need a family. We are a stranger now. We are a stranger to our family because we haven't seen for a long time. So I want from the government to make some positive change, that we can see our family, we can reunion with our family.
Mm. And for anybody listening today, what would you hope that they go away with after hearing from you?
I would like to say thank you to everyone that hearing us, and then please share our story to everyone. And if you can anything to support us, or any small thing to bring some changes in our condition, please do it. We need it.
Mm. All right. Oh, thank you so much, Rahula, for sharing your story and for your time with us. And we hope that you do obtain permanency and are able to connect with your family again.
Thank you very much for having me.
And I believe, oh, Rahula, there you are. Thank you so much for sharing with us today, for your story.
Thank you for you to having me and supporting us.
It's a powerful thing, mate, to hear your story. And I just wanted to say, and I think on behalf of a lot of us, that the words you shared about the message to the government, you know, I think there's a lot of people here who are very committed to being, you know, passing on that message to our government. And there is, we're hoping the next federal election will be pretty tight, and we should be able to apply some pressure. So,
yeah, finger crossed.
Bless you, mate. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
And that's a point we'll talk about today, folks. As far as a call to action goes, is just hopefully after the somewhat remarkable, you know, state election results here very recently, is that our current government might be getting very nervous about marginal seats heading into the next federal election. So the time is now to really get in the ear of MPs in those seats, letter writing campaigns, all that sort of thing. We'll talk about that more at the end of our time today. But I'm now going to introduce a recording we have, audio from Abu Bakar. Abu Bakar is a Rohingyan refugee. He was detained in the Mandarin Park Hotel, and in January, sadly, was forcibly transferred to the Melbourne Immigration Transit Accommodation after the first group of men were released from the Park Hotel. And I believe it was Jeff that spoke to him as he is in detention currently We just have the audio.
I'm a stateless Rohingya refugees. I would like to say thank you to everyone who are doing hard work for our freedoms and supporting us. As you all know about our suffering in detention for 8 years, I came to Australia to seek in safety, but I couldn't have it. I'm so upset. It was a mistake to come to Australia by boats. We have been moving so many detention centers in onshore and offshores without freedoms, and we are still alive because of your support and you are giving us hope. I used to always watch you while you come to the protests at the park hotels, roadside or park side. I always come to the windows and watched you out there from windows. When I watch you out there, I sometimes had tears in my eyes. Why am I still in detentions? Why am I still in prisons? What was my fault? Why I have been torturing? Why still I am not getting freedoms? 3 weeks ago I was sent to Malta because once our friend got freedoms from park hotels, then I emailed to my ABF cash workers that I wanted to talk why I couldn't get freedoms. Then after a few hours she called me. Then I asked her, how are you doing, my dear cash workers? Do you have any update about my freedoms? Lot of my friends got freedoms. Then she said to me, Abu Bakr, I don't have any update for you. Bridging visa minister didn't sign for you. I said, why? Last December you called me and asked me for my address to settle if I have anyone in Melbourne. That you told me I will have bridging visa, and I gave you my address to settle in Melbourne. And now you are saying I am not having freedoms. I was really upset, really frustrated. Then she told to Sarko to move me to the Malta detention centers. So I'm in Malta now. I would like to share with you some my story. 19 November 2017, I had an accident on Nauru detention center by motorcycle crash while I was going from one detention to another detentions. I had an accident with a Wilson local security guard. I fell down on the road, on the stones beside the road. I was unconscious. I had blood clots on my brain, and my right hand's wrist got displaced. I had been suffering on Nauru until 2020. I was transferred to Australia under the Medivac 25 February 2020 from Nauru detention for medical treatments, but still I haven't got any proper treatments yet. It's still giving me weight. I always feel dizzy and get very bad headache. I cannot sleep because of headache. I have been waiting for 7 months now for a brain specialist appointment, and they are giving me weight in detentions. Most of us are mentally and physically sick. As we came to Australia for better treatment from Nauru and PNG, still most of us have not get any proper treatment, making us more damaged than before. So many of our friends, our brothers, died in detentions. Some of them got killed by politician government of Australian. They have been torturing us. Torture after torture 6 years in Norway and PNG brought us here in Australia, but still not enough torture on us. We came to Australia for our seeking safety. Thank you so much to you all for every day joining the protest for freedoms. 8 years is very long. We are tired. Free us, please. We are human beings too. We deserve our freedoms. We deserve love. We deserve having a family and kids. We love you. From Park Hotel, prison to Maita detention. Thank you, everyone. Love you all. Take care. Love you always. You are so great. You have been supporting us. We are still alive because of you. I love you all. Thank you for caring us. Hi everyone. How
Melbourne, that's right, yeah. So that was the voice of Abu Bakr from Meter Detention in Melbourne. We're next going to hear from Ali, who's here with us today. Ali also recorded an interview with Jeff, which we'll play, but Ali, if I could invite you up the front just to say hello to everyone. Please welcome Ali, everyone. Ali, we'll play the video in a moment, but is there anything you'd like to share with people today before we play the video? Yeah.
Hi everyone, thank you for your time and support us. My name is Ali and I live for a long time in Australia. So only a small thing I want to say. So the first time when I migrated from Afghanistan, the only thing I had a hope to get I can able to continue my life because Afghanistan is not safe. And I migrated to Pakistan. After that, I thought, no, there was also, they killed Hazara people in Pakistan as well. So I had to migrate to other country like Australia. It was only 95% chance I can able to make this into Australia. And then when I went to sit in the boat was 95 people in the boat, and it was a very small boat, so everyone was sitting like that, and no space to move. It was 43 hours journey in a small boat, so every single moment you hear the noise that it will break. So we try to stay and sit one side to think the weight of the boat, it helps a little bit less weight. And then every single time I hear and we hear the sound, the boat might break. And then thanks God and thanks from Australian government that give us that opportunity, and they survive us from that area that there was 99%, and I can say and half, that we didn't think that we will be alive and we won't able to see the land anymore. And then we met that by the help of Australian, and they released us to the community after 3 months in detention center in here. And then we are waiting like 8 years, and most of us like more than that, 9 years, 10 years. Some of the friends, they rejected their case. They can't see their family for first 9 years, see their family. So in this bad situation of coronavirus, everyone can feel about us, because unfortunately this coronavirus effect on everyone's day makes any problems to can't see their families if they are in any other state or country. So think about 9 years away from your family, so it's very hard. Even some people, they went to work and they are worried about their children's, their parents or son, daughters. They are worried about that since he is away from for only four hours or 8 hours a day. They are worried about their children, but we are away like 9 years. So thank you for your helps and support that us, and then we hope get we are a part of Australia, so the Australian give us a life since they rescue from the ocean. So we are part of this country, so it's good to have a good and equally, so we can support and we can continue and we can give more work for Australia. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Ali. And I believe now we're going to play the video. Thanks, Mark.
Hi everyone, my name is Ali Karimi. I'm Hazara from Afghanistan, and my family is living in Pakistan, and I'm due to basic situation in Afghanistan.
We're with Ali Karimi. Ali, would you?
Thank you, Jeff. So for the folks in the room heard that, but for folks watching the broadcast, we are having some technical difficulties, as you probably surmised, with not being able to hear the video. So we're especially fortunate that Ali was here to share with us directly. But we'll try to sort that out, the technical issues at the back. But for now, we'll move on. So once again, can we have a round of applause for Ali for being here with us today and speaking to us? Thank you, mate. So it's time to introduce Joanna Josephs. She's the General Manager of CARAD, which, as many of you would know, is the Centre for Asylum Seekers, Refugees and Detainees. CARAD provides essential case management, emergency relief and volunteer support for people from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds in Perth, Western Australia. As part of her role, Joanna re-established a detention visiting program in 2015, which has provided social support and advocacy to more than 350 detainees through a team of dedicated volunteers. She's also led CARAD's first social enterprise project, Fair Go, which operates a food truck and a school canteen and provides the opportunity for people from refugee and asylum seeker backgrounds to gain employment experience while connecting with the community through cultural food. Would you please welcome from CARAD, Joanna.
Hi everyone, thank you very much for having me, and thank you to everyone who's spoken today and shared your stories. It's incredibly valuable. So my name's Joanna Josephs and I work for CARAD as the General Manager. And on this Palm Sunday, I would really like to be talking to you about the spirit of Palm Sunday, which is welcome. But unfortunately, I think that what we need to talk about first is the dark reality of what has been happening for people seeking asylum in Australia. I want to share the words with you that were told to me by a mother of 4 children. She's given me permission to share what she describes as her truth and her pain. Her family were detained offshore. They were brought to Australia eventually on medical grounds, and they were held in community detention for 5 years. She and her husband were not able to work or study, and the physical and mental health of every family member, including the children, suffered immensely over this time as they were denied the right to establish their life and have freedom in our community. Then suddenly they were given 3 weeks' notice that they were being cut off from community detention. So they would need to vacate their house and they would no longer receive government-funded financial support. And this is what she said to me. She said, "We have been through years of torment and injustice. If we were not at risk, why would we leave our country, our home, our people, and endure this humiliation and misery until now? I swear to God that I don't think of myself, but my heart is broken for my children. What is their sin?" This is one of the painfully pertinent questions that has been asked too many times to count, and there is no way to justify this suffering, particularly of children. I visited people seeking asylum and immigration detention for the last 6 years, and I've often been asked another question. If I get sent back and I die, who would take responsibility? And the answer to that one is clear: no one. No one takes responsibility when someone is returned to harm. No one takes responsibility when someone is murdered by a guard in an Australian-run detention centre, when preventable deaths occur from medical negligence, when people are assaulted. No one takes responsibility when people seeking asylum, including children, are forced into destitution. Our immigration system has been deliberately designed and upheld through successive Australian governments. It's complex and it's cruel, it's political and it's punitive. And instead of anyone taking responsibility for the harm that it has caused, they congratulate themselves for stopping the boat, for lowering the quota of humanitarian entrants, slashing budgets to support people seeking asylum in the community, and relentlessly creating new policies that would further erode the rights of people to seek asylum, make it harder for them to get their refugee status, easier for them to be detained indefinitely, and easier for them to be returned to harm. How has it come to this? Veronica has now spent 3 years of her life in immigration detention, and she is 3 years old. She and her 5-year-old sister, with her parents Priya and Nades, have been held in the Christmas Island Detention Centre, which has cost more than $6 million to detain one family, whose community has repeatedly pleaded for the government to be allowed to come home. In the past 8 years, we've sent more than 4,000 men, women and children to live in prison camps in squalid conditions on Manus Island and Nauru. Some still remain there. Many hundreds have been evacuated to Australia for urgent medical care, but instead of receiving that treatment, they were kept in a hotel room with no windows for more than a year. Some are still there, but many still have no permanent resettlement pathway. We have more than 1,500 people in mainland immigration detention centres, some of whom are people seeking asylum who've been locked up for more than 10 years straight. They have not had a single day of freedom since arriving to Australia by boat. Separated from their loved ones in crowded, unsafe facilities, arbitrarily moved between detention centres, often in the dead of the night with handcuffs, with bad food, worse medical service, and the torture of never knowing when this is going to end. We have people seeking asylum who have been released into the community on bridging visas, and they get almost no assistance. The federal government has been steadily dismantling the Status Resolution Support Program since 2008. This federally funded program is designed to provide some financial assistance and casework to people seeking asylum while they await their refugee visas to be processed. But the budget has been cut for that program by 86%. So of the thousands of people seeking asylum living in Western Australia right now, only around 78 people in total qualify for the almost $36 per day provided by that program. No other people seeking asylum are eligible for any type of Centrelink. Many people have the right to work, but they face enormous barriers to getting employment despite their motivation. During COVID, many people lost what little employment they may have had, as it may have been casual or part-time, and they were not eligible for JobKeeper or JobSeeker or any other type of Centrelink. So mid-pandemic, they were left with nothing. Then we have people seeking asylum who also have no work rights, no Centrelink rights, and no Medicare. They are entirely reliant on charitable organisations for all their needs, for housing, for food, for healthcare access. And these organisations were stretched to breaking point because we can't compensate for the millions of dollars slashed by the SRSS program. All the while this is all going on, people seeking asylum are trying for years on end to have their protection claims assessed, but they're denied procedural fairness at every turn. Some groups of people seeking asylum who arrived by boat, they were made to wait for 2 to 3 years before they could even launch their protection visas. Then when they could, they were told that they had 28 days to complete an application that was 66 pages long, 108 questions in English with essentially no legal services and no translating assistance. They were set up to fail. And even now, there is legislation trying to be pushed through that would increase the extreme costs of appealing poor decisions for people in the court. So they're denied their right to a fair appeal of the decisions that were made. And even when people seeking asylum who arrive by boat are finally recognised as refugees to whom Australia owes protection, they're given the 3 or 5 year temporary visas, which we heard about. And they have to keep reapplying and facing refusal every time. So they're kept in an endless cycle of uncertainty with no pathway to citizenship and no ability to reunite by sponsoring their families to come to Australia. It doesn't have to be this way. The spirit of Palm Sunday, it's about welcome, and there are so many of us in this room, online, but all around Australia every day who want to create a more welcoming Australia for all, and especially for those who have come here seeking safety. And every day people stand up and they confront an oppressive immigration regime using some very strong powers of empathy, of kindness, of generosity. And I think every act of compassion, it's an act of resistance. Every time that we hear the voices that need to be heard and elevate those, when we support their advocacy, when we ensure that people have the essentials they need to survive in our community, like safe housing, like food, like healthcare, like employment support, like English language, like volunteer support, but like friends, like connections, that is going against what this regime has endeavoured to create. So we together can create that more welcoming community. There are things that you can do to help, very, very practical things. You can volunteer with an organisation that supports people seeking asylum in the community and in immigration detention. You can donate food or funds to organisations that support people seeking asylum who don't have an income. And I'll note that we're particularly concerned right now about housing. The moratorium on evictions lifted this week, and we expect rental prices to go up by 20% with vacancy rates under 1%. So that squeeze is going to affect the most vulnerable in our community, and people seeking asylum who may not have work rights or may not have work, may not have Centrelink. These are the people that will be affected most and will find it most difficult to get access to any other properties. You can donate smartphones to people in immigration detention. That's how so many of these voices and important messages have been getting out. And we've distributed about 200 of them in the last couple of years. So please, they're very hot property. You can write letters to request meetings with members of parliament to share your concerns, to raise your voice and amplify the voices of people with lived experience. You can join advocacy groups and networks that are happening all around the country. You can use your vote, your right to vote, very wisely. So if you are interested in doing these practical things, we urge you to you can contact us at CARAD, or we can put you in touch as well with many other partner organisations who are doing incredible work in this space. Advocacy networks, community groups, church groups, there are so many people. So I want to leave you with a couple final thoughts here. We want to work for a brighter day for people seeking asylum and refugees, but that might take some time. And in the meantime, we might need to simply stand with people in the dark. I'll leave you with the words of someone who we supported at CARAD. He said, "First of all, to be a refugee or asylum seeker, it's not an easy decision. You're going to change your identity and whole life, not just for yourself, but for all of your family. Entering this tunnel could be a risk, as there may not be light at the end. My family faced hard days where we felt lost in the world, and we faced the dark of the tunnel and we almost gave up. But fortunately, there were hidden soldiers risking their life and spending their time to be with us in this tunnel and to give us support while we were there." So I'm happy to share that that family has found a bit of light in their tunnel, and I hope that we can give light to others too. Thank you.
Thank you, Joe. Oh, so from some silent signals at the back from Jeff, I now understand that we're good to play the video with Jeff and Ali. Thank you very much. Let's do that now.
Everyone, my name is Ali Karimi. I'm Hazara from Afghanistan, and my family is living in Pakistan, and I'm in base situation in Afghanistan and Pakistan. I migrate.
I did warn folks about technical difficulties, and I did also threaten to dance. I'm not going to follow through on that just yet. So, perhaps Mark and Jeff, if it is the audio is transmitting online, perhaps we could play that for the folks watching online at the end of the stream. So to move along, it's now time to meet Fahad, who is a Kurdish refugee who spent 8 years in immigration detention. He's a guitar maker and player and a winemaker. Fahad made national news recently as one of the first refugees to be released from immigration detention in Melbourne following his transfer to Australia under the former Medivac laws. I believe we have him live. Hey Fahad, can you hear me?
Hi everyone. Can you hear me?
Hi Fahad, are you able to hear me okay?
Yes. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, thank you.
Cool.
Thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you. First, I would like to acknowledge the beautiful land of the Wurundjeri where I stay, of the Kulin Nation, and I pay my respect to Indigenous people, past, present, and future. You know, I spent nearly 8 years, or I lost 8 years of my life in Australian detention. I'm a Kurdish refugee. I had to leave my land and to find safety and freedom. Finally, I got my freedom after nearly 8 years on my birthday, which is always, I say, it's like a gift. Always, I really appreciate those people who support me, and they are still supporting those innocent refugees. In hotels, rooms, they in detention in Australia, and they still continue this beautiful support. Thank you.
Fahad, can you tell us a little bit about your situation now? Are you able to, are you working? Do you have stable accommodation?
I stay with a friend of mine. You know, the stories I would like to share with you tonight, it's the Australian government, they just released me from the cages and they didn't support me. But the Australian people, they still support me and they welcome me, which is amazing. And I am honored to be one of those refugees who were welcomed by the indigenous people, and they make smoking ceremony for me, which is really amazing. And I am able to work. I am working in winery in Melbourne, and I start to make my wine, which I call it Time to Fly Shiraz. And also I have some Cabernet Sauvignon for the Game Over campaign. And I would like to share this wine with Australian people.
Yeah, thank you. And I guess a question that we've asked before today and we'll ask you is, if the Australian government was listening right now, what is it you would say to them?
The Australian government, they are really cruel against human beings. They beaten us, they insult us, they stolen my belongings and others. They attacked us several times in detention. If we are refugees, they need to help us. If we are human beings, they need to respect us. But we lost many things in detention, which is really awful for Australian history. But Australian people always show the different, which is love. We care about humans because we are humans. And this is the things is like a treasure for me, and I respect it. Always I think about the Australian people, not think about Australian government. Australian government are really cruel against human beings.
Thank you. And so for the people who are gathered here today, both in person here in Perth and around Western Australia and around Australia who are watching this online, what is it you would like to say to us?
I would like to thank all of you today, and always you are fighting and supporting innocent refugees, and you are welcoming us. And I would like to, indigenous people, they always welcoming refugees, which is beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you. And on behalf of all of us, thank you so much for giving your time. And yeah, we hope we can do all we can do to, you know, assist in this really important work. Thank you.
Thank you. And I would like to thank your time and Justice for Refugee. Thanks.
Thank you. Round of applause for Fahad. Thank you. Obviously, folks, the audio is a little quiet here live. Hopefully everyone watching out there in the hubs was able to get the audio. This is a question I should have asked before now, Mark and Jeff. Is the stream being recorded so people can watch it later? It is, okay. And people will be able to, sort of, once they're home, to be able to access the stream and watch it all back later. Okay, so that's good news. If you've missed anything today, audio-wise, we'll be able to play it back later. So, folks, we've reached the moment that we call the call to action here in the support sort of activism space. And Joanna already did this so beautifully in talking about ways all of us can assist in getting justice and a fair go for refugees. I'll probably be repeating a lot of what she said, but so much of it is worth repeating. So there are a number of ways you can take action. You can donate goods, and you can certainly donate money, or you can volunteer with CARAD. And as Joanna said, CARAD is an amazing resource for redirecting you on to other agencies, other places where you can make an impact and make a difference. You can connect with RAN, the Refugee Rights Action Network, or other groups supporting refugees and people seeking asylum. You can sign the petitions that are running nationally through both the Game Over and Time for a Home campaigns. And as I said before, with a federal election likely to be called within the next 12 months, it's an important time to build pressure for change. With the election coming, our MPs and senators, they are starting to sweat, and it's really, really time to let them know what's on our hearts and really sort of get on their radar and up in their grill, as the kids say. So there's an emerging campaign led by refugees themselves calling for permanency and family reunion. And if you want to participate in writing and or meeting with your local MP, please do pass on to us your email so we can send you resources and coordinate actions to make sure we achieve the greatest impact. And when I say send us an email and get in touch, I'm talking about the Social Justice Unit at the Uniting Church here in WA. So come and approach me, those in the room, not with a pen. Hopefully people at home can scribble this down, but I'll mention it again at the end. The email address to get in touch, is Mark going to throw it on the screen? Beautiful. Okay, social.justice@wa.uca.org.au. We'll plug that again at the end, but that's the contact list to get on. If you've got no other kind of direction going forward, email in and get on that contact list, and all sorts of great information and networking can happen from there. So it's time to bring things to, yes, hand up. Certainly. Yep.
I was just wondering, just in regards to the Rohingya refugee issue, have we discussed the current political situation in Myanmar? Because that's put another layer of suppression on top of the Rohingya people, and that's another space where pressure should be applied politically to speed up not only refugee but human rights that are being crushed daily in that country.
Thanks, Richard. So to try and summarise that for people at home who wouldn't have caught Richard's audio. So Richard here gathered in person. He sort of raised, and I'm paraphrasing you, mate, I'm sorry if I sort of do a botched job with this, but he talked about the situation with the Rohingya people in Myanmar and the situation that's going on there and all the complexities. And so my summation of what you said, Richard, was also really important in this country, that through through our aid and human rights pressure overseas, in a sense, and our foreign policy here in Australia, that's also a massive thing that we need to be aware of going forward. And I certainly think that's a huge point, mate. As well as, of course, the focus on today is for justice and a fair go for those people seeking asylum who've made it here to our waters and to our country. But that is an entirely valid point, mate. There's so much more Australia could be doing all around the world. But certainly, you know, for us today, it's about saying these people are already here seeking our help. They're among us. They're living here. You know, no, we cannot send them back. And that's, sorry, I'm going to drop professional mode for a moment and just say, for me, as someone who kind of grew up in the middle of the wheat belt in a classic Aussie Anglo kind of, you know, bush environment, very little cultural diversity around me, the one value I was raised with is hospitality. The one value I was raised with was someone's in trouble, you help them out. And that wasn't seen as a spiritual thing or some high ethos. It was just like, you know, your mate's farm is on fire, you get around there with a water truck. It's that simple, you know. Someone next door, their family is sick, you turn up with a casserole. That to me was the basic value. In a place, in a time where politicians love to play the Australian values card. They love to try the word out, fair go. And I think there is no sadder and greater kind of emblem of that right now, just how flimsy that statement is of a fair go being an Australian value when we look at our treatment of asylum seekers and refugees. So all of us, and so many people here and so many people online have already been busy for so many years and done so much work in this space. But I guess ultimately for me, I'm just taking this as a strong reminder. And let's stay in touch with each other, stay connected, get involved with organisations, support each other through this. Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's a brilliant question. So for folks who didn't pick up the audio from Judy there, so Judy was just asked a question. So recently she emailed her local MP as well as Christina Keneally, the Shadow Minister, Federal Shadow Minister for Immigration, specifically speaking about a piece of legislation that's currently coming up or soon to come up in front of Parliament. And she basically found herself, well, my words, not yours, Judy, but blown off with the sort of auto response. Got your email, cheers. And so that's a really super valid question. How do we penetrate the bureaucracy, in a sense? How do we get past that? And that's why we need to connect with each other and with those groups that have specialist advice and advocacy that can coordinate campaigns, that can sort of bring our efforts together in a strategic way from people with experience and wisdom in these areas. So when we say today, you know, get on the email list, get in touch with organisations like RAN and Carol, get involved, you know, sort of, it's so much important. We can achieve so much more together. So thank you, Judy. Folks, our time here is almost done. So at this point, I would like to invite to the microphone Susie Thomas. Susie is the moderator of the Uniting Church in Western Australia. The Uniting Church has ultimately been playing host to us here today on what's an important date for the religious calendar, and so we invite Susie, as the head of the UCWA, to send us off today with a blessing. Thanks, Susie.
What a privilege it is to say thank you very much for being here, to coming and attending this function. And also those who are online, thank you very much for participating this afternoon. What an amazing afternoon we had. We heard so many stories here. And thank you, Karad, Joanne, Joseph, for sharing the insight of the organization, how you're functioning. And also there are so many other organizations also working. Thank you very much. And Ali, Rahul, Fahad, and Abu Bakr, thank you very much for trusting us to share your amazing story. We can almost assure you that we will be with you. We want to walk alongside with you, your journey, and we be a people of compassion to just walk and do what we can on your journey. Thank you so very much for trusting us to share that story with us. And what an amazing day to celebrate a function like this. It is Palm Sunday. It is the triumphant entry of Jesus Christ in Jerusalem. And people were crying out, saying, Hosanna, that means save us. And that is the day we are organizing this function. I just wanted to thank the organizers, the Social Justice Department or the Commission of the Uniting Church WA, and also so many others joined. I've met some of you to just organizing this function. I just want to say thank you so very much for doing so. As a host of this function this afternoon, I just would like to send you all with a blessing. And shall we pray? People of compassion, go out in peace, do justice and mercy. May peace be with you. Jesus be the shalom for you. Go out in peace. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you so much, Susie. Now, I did just have a word from Daniel, the pastor of the Persian church here in Perth. Daniel, I've just had the word we do need to cut the stream. We're over time, but put your hand up, Daniel, so everyone can see him. If you would like to go and chat to Pastor Daniel over there from the Persian church, who's here with some members of his church. For those of us who are here live, sorry, I'm excluding you people who are watching on the stream, but go and connect with Daniel after we close today. And Susie, having offered us our blessing at the end, that is the close of our official time today and the official stream. To the people in the hubs, thank you so much for being here. For all of you here in the room, thank you so much. And again, just to plug one more time, that email address is social.justice@wa.uca.org.au. If nothing else, get on that email list, and lots of good information and networking opportunities will come your way. Folks, we've reached the end of our stream and our official time together. Thank you so much. God bless.
Experience time in detention?
Yeah, for the first 3 months I was in detention center, and then they give us for 1 year visa on 2013, and then the last 3 years after 2013 till 2018 I had for 1 year's visa every year. They just were extended.
So, yeah, okay. But now you're on a chef.
Yeah, I got the visa on 2018, the chef visa.
Yeah. And what is a chef visa? What does that allow?
The chef visa just give you to work, and they says that you need to work in regional area. If you work in regional area and then you don't support get from the Centrelink, and after 3.5 years you can apply for PR or for any other visa like a skills visa. The skilled visa is very hard for a person who is educated and he studied like he finished his college or university. It's hard for him to pass the IELTS test. And how can I pass that? The first in 2013 when I arrived, I thought I can learn English, I can speak English and study. I went to Tiverton Senior College in Adelaide, and only I studied two months. After 2 months they says the government doesn't support you to study. If you want to study you have to pay your own fee. The international student, the fee was very high. Every course for 2 months maybe around $3,000-4,000. So how could I afford? I wasn't allowed to work. After that, like 3 years, all the time I was at home. No activity, no allowed to work, no study, and it was very hard and tough time. Most of that asylum seeker has got a mental problem. I heard in Melbourne in the past few years they killed themselves. To finish their life. They can't continue with this situation.
How do you cope? What do you find helpful to stay positive?
My hope was just the only thing I remain alive in here, and I was thinking one day I can get my family here and live together. That is my only hope. Just I'm waiting for that. Maybe it happens another month, 2 months, 1 year, something, but it just extends me over, and it is almost 9 years past. When I migrated from Afghanistan, my wife was pregnant, and she was on 9 months pregnant, and I couldn't wait till that because the situation was very difficult and killed everywhere in Afghanistan. In Pakistan, we couldn't live, and I didn't have any hope. My hope was only to migrate to another country to be alive or survive, and I can survive my family one day. And I couldn't wait. I went after 8 days when I left my house, and the baby, my son, born, and I didn't see him since he became 5 years old. In 2018, I could get the visa, and I met my son after 5 years when he born the first time.
On the chef visa, then you have been able to visit your wife and child only one time, or?
Yeah, only they says once a year.
Yeah.
But because of the COVID, is extend more, but is very hard again. If I able to visit my family once a year. I just seen in the news the Navy, they had a video from Navy that he seen his baby after 6 months, and they put everything on the news, and they says it is very tough time for him. But it says no one asked us that I haven't seen my family for the first 5 years. I haven't seen since he born, but I didn't. So I migrate to this country, to Australia. So I hope that I live in here forever. So this will be my country. If I stay healthy, and I can do some positive things in the country. I can work. If I can work, I can pay the tax, and the tax, it helps the government. If the government live as like these situations, so we won't be healthy all the time. I have to go to the doctor and see the doctor and mental health and something like that. So I won't be a helpful person in the community.
And so your hope is that you'll be able to get a permanent visa after, because the chef is only temporary for 5 years.
Yeah.
And then you're hoping that you can get permanency so that you can then have your family join you here in Australia, is that right?
Yes, but the chef visa is more things that is at 95% we weren't able to get that after when chef is finished. After that, this is only the choice you have got for a skill visa. A skill visa is only 89% chance to get that. No, it's 20% to get that because of all tests, and someone needs to be responsible to you. So it has got a lot of things difficult.
So currently the settings on the visa to be able to meet the chef requirements and then obtain a permanent visa, the chances of being able to complete that is very slim because the English requirement is so high, and the number of the skill types of visas are a very small number. Is that the case?
Yeah, it is. And then another thing, you have to find someone to sponsor you, like a company, and another thing, you have to stay or work in a regional area.
And we know of many people who have tried to find work in regional areas in WA and haven't been able to, even though the Premier has actually written to the federal government to request that Perth be included in the regional zone. We still haven't had that approval come through from the federal government, which makes it very hard for people to meet that chef requirement.
And the regional area, most of the time they themselves struggling to work for work. So how we can go there and then to find work?
You're a gyprock ceiling worker, is that right?
Yeah, I'm a ceiling fixer, doing the ceiling walls and framing.
What's your message that you would like to tell the government of Australia?
So my message is that we are living in Australia for more than 9 years, so it's good to be the same as another people. So another people of Australian, they have got the same right. We have to get the same right. So Australian, they says that we give everything is equal. So hopefully we want the government to everything should be equal, so the same right as Australian has or we have, so there is no more difference. So we can live in the community very free, and we can live without any tension, depressions. So most of the time when we go out for public holidays or some what do you call it, any party, something like that, and then everyone there with their families, and then you're just alone walking around the city or around the public. So I myself doesn't feel okay. In place of that, I enjoy that time. I become a more tension and a more headache, and then it's more problems for me.
Yeah, it's very, very tough to be in constant state of limbo, where the uncertainty is always there. You're in a temporary visa status. Yes.
And another thing is, we are the power of the community. This refugee is the power of the community, power of the country. If we give the right, the full right, so we can work, we can improve this country, we can make this country for better life. If they don't give us the good rights and we have to stay at home and full of tension all the time, we have to go to hospital about the mental issue, so it is not good for the government either. My message to Australian people is that please feel as our situation, and whatever you can help to get our family or the same right as another people has. So this is my message to help us to get the same right everyone has.
Well, thank you so much for sharing with us today. We really appreciate your generosity with your story, and we hope that we can work together to achieve permanency so that you can live freely in Australia with your family.
Yeah, thank you very much. Thank you for your support and your times.